Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Alright guys, I'm back and this is video number 2. I have uploaded the first video, which is like an hour and a half because it covers all the Q posts recently, and it is still processing. It's just sitting there processing, which is what I've come to expect from YouTube. But anyway, let's jump over here and we are going to be getting into the news. But, and I do have some people to thank, but I'll do that at the end of the show. I'm very appreciative of those that do contribute in one way or another. And it's more than just monetary, because I know a lot of you pray for the show, and a lot of you are frequent contributors to the chat below. So yeah, that all counts as well. But I'm demonetized, so I do depend on those that my Patreon supporters and coffee donations. But thank you guys so much, those who do so and contribute in other ways as well. I appreciate it. Don't ever feel obliged. All right, now I had this prepared yesterday to bring. So some of this is yesterday's news, and down further is today's. I'm going to start with yesterday's news because a lot of it is very pertinent. And then if I don't get through it all, which I sincerely doubt I will, because really there's enough for 2 videos here, then I will save that for tomorrow and possibly bring you 2 tomorrow. I don't know how that will work out, but we'll just see. Anyway, let's just jump in here. Now, this is April 27th. So it's 2 days old actually, but it says exasperation grows over delays trying to sign up for unemployment. People have no food. People are talking about suicide. Now, I understand how people can feel that desperate, that, rent's coming due, a couple days. So I can understand. I can totally understand. If you've got rent due and you don't have the rent, and you could possibly be evicted, you don't have money for food, you don't have money to pay your bills, things are getting cut off, they're threatening to take your car. I understand that. I've been there before. And, it isn't pleasant. And those thoughts do enter your mind. They really do. So, yeah, it says unemployment remains a major issue across the country. Many New York and New Jersey residents are losing hope and are out of cash. Adam Diallo has listened to the New York Department of Labor's "We are experiencing high call volume" recording more times than he can count. "It's embarrassing. I remember it," Diallo says. When he was laid off at the beginning of April, he filed for unemployment benefits online. Every time he logs in, he gets this notice: to complete the claim, call the claim center. But he can't get through. That's heartbreaking, really. And obviously, I'm sure he's not the only one. Anyway, it says it's like calling into a radio station for like the 100th ticket, to be the 100th caller to get that ticket to see the concert. That's what it is when you're calling into the New York State Department of Labor, Diallo told CBS 2's Jenna DeAngelis. He went on Twitter and got a response from the Department of Labor telling him he was put on a callback list. "Yes, I'm waiting for this call, but I don't even know how this call is going to go," which is another hurdle within itself that I'm nervous for, Diallo said. Meanwhile, he's looking for a new job. He's among 1.4 million New Yorkers who have filed for unemployment benefits in 6 weeks. The Department of Labor says it's launched a new web application with Google, has dedicated more than 3,000 representatives to answer phones, and has paid over $3 billion in unemployment benefits. Well, it sounds to me like they need to hire more than 3,000. Obviously, if no one can get through, there's an issue. Perhaps opening the state back up so that people could go back to work would be helpful, because they use that. They work and get money, and they use that money, to pay their rent and mortgage and, stuff like that. So there you go. And I can fully appreciate that desperation. I fully can. And I'm sure many of you can as well, because we've all had hard times in our lives, those of us that are over 10. I'm just saying. So anyway, let's go back here. And let's look at this, because we should look at this. Now, I'm not, everybody's focusing on this economic intercourse. He has used that word correctly. It's correct. And I've got a master's in English. Yeah, he's used that correctly. So it's not the word that he used. It's other things about this that bother me. I don't care if he used economic intercourse. That's what it is, an intercourse, you know? So yeah, let's listen to him though, because there's other things about this very short clip that trouble me. So
I would get much more engaged in the world. We can't step back. If, in fact, for example, we solve the problem in the United States of America and you don't solve it in other parts of the world, you know what's going to happen? You're going to have travel bans. You're going to not be able to have economic intercourse around the world. There's a lot. Look, when America goes alone, when America is first, it's America alone. And the idea that I would get much more engaged in the world. We can't step back. If, in fact, for example, we solve the problem in the United States of America and you don't solve it in other parts of the world, you know what's going to...
See, the thing is, I don't really, you know, I'm sure he knows what he's talking about, but he's not a good communicator. Maybe he was once, maybe he never was. I don't know. But he's certainly not a good communicator. He communicates in a very confusing manner. He loses his train of thought. He's always reaching for words, and it's not, you know, he's just not the best for, I do not want this man in charge of foreign policy. And do you want this guy to have the nuclear button? Really? Or the codes to release nuclear weapons? Do you really want him to have that? Because I sure don't. And I'm pretty sure you don't either. But the thing that strikes me is the fact that Joe Biden is obviously suffering some sort of dementia or some sort of, you know, whatever. Be it Alzheimer's, be it dementia, I don't know. But he is suffering something. And it's embarrassing. I think that, honestly, I think it's elder abuse. I really do. Whoever is doing this to him, it's mean. It's cruel. Because they're making him the face of this. And they don't care. They don't care if his health is worth anything or not. Because they don't care. Because he's just a figurehead. Probably he's going to have Hillary. Then they'll take out Joe Biden and Hillary will be president, like they always planned. And they'll say, oh, gee, you know what? We were delayed for 4 years, but now Hillary's in and everything's going to be okay. That's what the deep state would say. Absolutely. They're just using Joe Biden. And I can't understand why the Democrats don't see that. Or maybe they do see that. And if they do see that and are saying nothing, then they have severe issues. Really. Well, we already know they do. And issues, I mean, yeah. All right. So let's go back and see what else we can get into here. And this is from Anon+++. And he said, it's happening. Joe Biden is going to pick Hillary Clinton as his VP. The deep state will do all they can to put this evil woman in power. She owes way too many people. And that's true, because you know that she made promises to all these people that she couldn't fulfill because they never thought she would lose. So she owes a lot of people a lot of favors, and they want her in at all costs. A little hint about who the surprise guest will be for Joe Biden's 3 p.m. Eastern Time town hall today. She's excited. And of course, it's Hillary. Or was it Hillary? Didn't look like Hillary to me. At all. Like, not even close. Unless she, you know, has had extensive plastic surgery and has, you know, trimmed off about 20 years. I'm just saying. But yeah, it's interesting to say the least. Now, of course, this was yesterday's news, and she was on the town hall yesterday. So, but I'm giving it a day late because, well, you know, I didn't do a show last night. So, and this by Catman. Catman. Love that. Imagine that. Speaker Pelosi endorsing a man with rape allegations against him speaks volumes about Pelosi's character judgment and her unending partisanship. Oh, absolutely it does. Nancy Pelosi endorses Joe Biden for president. Yes, she does, knowing full well what he has done, what he's capable of doing, and how crooked he truly is. She supports him, says a lot about her lack of character as well. And isn't it interesting that they're all supporting this man who has rape allegations against him, credible rape allegations, unlike Kavanaugh, whose rape allegations were anything but believable. I don't think anybody truly in their heart believed it. All right, let's go on. I keep hearing something behind me, and I've got the window open just a little crack, and it's raining, so I keep thinking somebody's behind me because I hear the rain. Anyway, now this is Joe Biden, so let's listen to this again. Joe Biden, my son's business dealing in China were not anything. Now, this is a direct quote, unfortunately. My son's business dealings in China were not anything what everybody that he's talking about, not even remotely, number one. Huh? Did you get that? Because I didn't. Asked about son's shady business, Chinese business, Joe Biden speaks gibberish. My son's business dealings were not anything what everybody that he's talking about, not even remotely number one. Now, if you can figure it out, you're smarter than I, but let's listen.
And are you vulnerable on this issue at all because of your son's business dealings in China?
No, I don't believe so at all. My son's business dealings were not anything with everybody that he's talking about, not even remotely number one.
And are you vulnerable on this issue at all because of your son's business dealings in China?
Oh, it's just repeating now.
No, I don't believe so at all. My son's business dealings were not anything with everybody that he's talking about, not even remotely number one.
Huh? Not sure, but yeah. This is the man that they want to be president over Donald Trump, who has been, I think, one of the best presidents the country has ever seen, if not the. I mean, I don't get it. I don't. All right. Okay, let's look at this, because we can. And look at this. Hillary Clinton slandered Monica Lewinsky, accepted multi-millions in donations from rapist Harvey Weinstein, endorsed serial predator Anthony Weiner, flew on pedophile Epstein's plane to his island. Hillary now embraces Joe Biden after mounting evidence of sexual assault. Now,
hugs where you just throw up your arms and go for it. And then there are hugs that keep going and going and going. Joe Biden wouldn't let Hillary go as they met on the tarmac at Scranton Airport. About 4 seconds into the hug, they semi-disengage. Nothing to see here, right? Wrong, because the vice president wouldn't unhand Hillary for almost 16 seconds.
Notice how many times she tries to tap out. She lets it go, he does not. She tap out. No, she's just, no, he's still holding on. Okay, second tap out. For God's sake, Joe, you gotta let go.
This latest awkward hug would not have been microanalyzed if it hadn't been for all the other overly handy Biden moments. Critics collect them. At times when he gently rearranges a young girl's hair and whispers in her ear, then rearranges some more. There's nothing pervy here. The VP knows he's on camera at these swearing-in ceremonies, and the parents are right there as he leans in for...
Did she just said there's nothing pervy here? Are you kidding me? This girl looks uncomfortable, and a lot of those children looked uncomfortable. I think that this shows that this man is so used to doing this that he doesn't care if a camera's on him because he thinks that, oh, but I'm the vice president, so they won't think that. No, they wouldn't think that of me. And he's right, because here is this woman saying, well, there's nothing pervy here. Right. right. And we all believe that, right? Right.
For a kiss. The VP is known as a close talker. He even does it to the president. Perhaps his most famous hands-on moment came when he put his hands on the wife of Defense Secretary Ash Carter.
Got a lot of thanks to give out.
Conservatives panned it.
This is
Weird.
the creepiest thing.
And so did some liberals.
No, that ain't right, man. That ain't right. Why are you appeared to smell her hair?
At least the VP didn't get that close to Hillary. Now Hillary and President Obama
Probably 'cause
have
she
come a
smells like
long
cabbage.
way in
Everybody
their
says so.
history of hugging. From this paltry excuse for a hug 8 years ago after he defeated her, to this. A hug so close that Hillary closed her eyes. They even gazed into each other's eyes. This was a hug so novel for these two, it looked like the cover of a romance novel. Jeannie Mo, CNN, New York.
I think I threw up a little in my mouth.
There are hot...
Like, for real. Anyway, don't have any respect for Hillary, don't have any respect for Joe Biden, and if that commentator thinks that that wasn't pervy, that there was nothing pervy here, right. Like, honestly, if that was me, and I know that that person was probably thinking, like, what is happening? I'm up here in front of all these people and he's sniffing my hair. I think that if one or two of those people would turn around and tell him to stop, and if he didn't, well, you know, I think he'd stop real quick. I really do. But anyway, I think he's just so used to it that it just doesn't matter who's watching, because he thinks that, oh, I'm just sniffing their hair, like that's normal. All right, let's look at this. Oh, yes, let's look at this. Now, this is kind of a long article, and I don't know, because we got a lot to get to, but this is actually, you know what, I am going to skip this for tonight because I do have so much to get to, but I do want to come back to that because it's very important. It's just that if I cover that, there'll be very little else that I can cover. So I do, and I have a lot to get through tonight. So, but I will. Did I just spell tomorrow wrong? Yes. I don't know. Isn't that awful? I'm having a brain fade. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, eyes on cue. Fake news, enemy of the people. And it says, look at this. Let me make it a little bit bigger because I know some of you are on your teeny tiny phones. And, you know, I love me, my phone people, tiny phone people. They're the best. Fake news, enemy of the people. JT Lewis says, fake news, CNN, not even trying to hide their lies anymore. Guess they think their viewers are too stupid to notice anyway. He says global death toll approaches 3 million people. Not even close. The total cases is 2,964,543, but deaths are only 206,055. Yeah, nowhere near the death toll they're trying to tell us approaching 3 million people. That is the total cases, not the death toll. But they just report whatever they feel like reporting, and I guess the people just believe it. All right, and let's look at this. Fox News kicks Diamond and Silk off the air for questioning whether states were inflating their death totals. No free speech anymore, people. Editor's note, social media is cracking down on conservative content. Many of you have complained that you never see our content in your news feeds, there's only way to fight back, and that's by subscribing to our free whatever. Diamond and Silk, who became overnight sensations in 2016 when they became two of Donald Trump's most ardent supporters, they have been off the air since March 7th, and insiders say not to expect to see them again soon. Diamond said during a March 30th live stream, "What I need to know is how many people have passed away in New York, and what I need to know is who has the bodies. I need for somebody that does investigative work to call the morgues, to call the funeral homes. We need to know because I don't trust anything else that comes out of his mouth now. Something's not right here. Something is off here. Is this being deliberately spread? Look, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. This is real, but I'm asking my own questions. What the hell is going on?" Now, from Breitbart News, one unnamed source told the Daily Beast that it's unlikely the duo, whose real names are Lynette Diamond Hardaway and Rochelle Silk Richardson, will pop up on the network in the near future. After what they've said and tweeted, you won't be seeing them on Fox Nation or Fox News anytime soon, the source said. Diamond and Silk's appearance on Fox News was March 7th. In late March, Fox News Network parted ways with primetime host Trish Regan, who abruptly left the airwaves after labeling concerns about the coronavirus as another attempt to impeach President Trump. President Trump on Sunday slammed Fox News coverage and recent hires and criticized former House Speaker Paul Ryan, who is a member of the Fox Corporation Board of Directors. Fox keeps on plugging to try and become politically correct, the president tweeted. They put Rhino Paul Ryan on the board. They hire debate questions to crooked Hillary fraud, Donna Brazile, and others who are even worse. Fox News just doesn't get what's happening, he added. They are being fed Democrat talking points, and they play them without hesitation or research. Diamond and Silk are personal friends of mine that are without a doubt being silenced for asking very serious questions. I think we all want to know the answer to those questions. We need to know the truth. And we do. And if we're not even able to ask the truth, which without having our livelihoods taken away, I mean, that was their livelihood taken away from them because they dare to ask a question. Puts things in perspective, doesn't it? Okay, and Rudy Giuliani, why did the U.S. NIH in 2017 give $3.7 million to the Wuhan lab in China? That's a good question. Good question. Such grants were prohibited in 2014. Did President Obama grant an exception? Well, no doubt he did. No doubt he did. And I think that'll probably come out. Rudy Giuliani, of course, is able to ask those questions without anybody kicking him off because of who he is. Anyway, let's go on now. And now we are on to Greg Jarrett. Newly declassified documents show John Kerry's State Department spread Russia collusion narrative. Now, this is a little bit old. It's April 22nd, but still pertinent. Documents released last week by Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham give insight into a bombshell revelation about the role of John Kerry's State Department in fueling the FBI's dubious Russia collusion probe, showing it was the State Department that provided information leading to the controversial surveillance of Carter Page, reports Breitbart. Amongst the redactions released are parts of the Obama administration's FISA warrant applications used to spy on Page. As Breitbart reports, the disclosure of the text claims Page was an agent of a foreign power and that the status of the target was determined in or about October 2016 from information provided by the U.S. Department of State. Newly released information also highlights how much the FBI, run by James Comey at the time, heavily relied on the Christopher Steele dossier as proof of Russia collusion. Of course, the collusion was debunked, and the nonsensical Steele dossier was paid for by Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, and the Democrat National Committee. The State Department's accusation that Page was a Russian agent raises questions in light of previous reporting exposing connections on spreading the dossier claims between elements of Kerry's State Department and Steele, as well as ties to longtime Clinton confidant Sidney Blumenthal and Cody Shear, who is a controversial figure long tied to various Clinton scandals, noted Breitbart. John Kerry's chief of staff at the State Department, John Feiner, was also instrumental in distributing the dossier. When Feiner received a summary of the dossier, although it was questionable, he shared it with John Kerry. Feiner had received the dossier summary from an Obama State Department official, Jonathan M. Weiner, who acknowledged regularly interfacing and exchanging information with Steele. Breitbart cites an op-ed Weiner wrote in the Washington Post where he acknowledged that while at the State Department he shared anti-Trump material with Steele passed to him by longtime Clinton confidant Sidney Blumenthal, and that the material all originated with Cody Shear, who is a controversial figure long tied to various Clinton scandals. And this is, and Clinton is the woman that they want to be president. All right, let's go on. Let's look at this. Okay, keywords being hunt down. What part of this future dystopia are you not seeing, folks? And it says the Clintons want to recruit an army of contact tracers that will hunt down infected individuals. Hunt down. Well, they know all about that. They know all about hunting down. The Clintons want to recruit an army of contact tracers that will hunt down infected individuals and interrogate them about who they associate with so they can be quarantined in a dignified manner. Right. They have already begun hiring people for this job. Now, let's listen to this. It's 1 minute and 38 seconds long.
The things that you have to be able to do is to track people who are positive. Where were they? Who were they in contact with? How can you hem up any recurrence of this? Should we have, like you did with California did with the Conservation Corps of young people, should we have a contact tracer corps, even if we call it something more elegant? Should we really build the first public health network we've ever really built in this country around this issue?
The predicate for getting back to some semblance of normalcy is our ability to identify individuals through testing, to be able to trace their contacts, to isolate individuals that have either been exposed or quarantine people that are tested positive. And that's just going to require an army of folks and the capacity of consideration from individuals to allow for their privacy to be impacted by that kind of acuity of attention based upon where they've been and who they talked to.
This virtual group of contact tracers would contact anybody who's tested positive to learn about their recent activities, who they may have been in contact with. We had something like 7,000 people, 9,000 people apply within the first couple of days to be contact tracers so that we can actually use people who are out of place, out of work rather, who can be trained, even lay people.
There you go. That's what's coming. They would track you down and they'd question who all you've been contacted, who all you've contacted. Lovely. It's medical Nazism, I guess. All right. Let's go back now. Still lots to get to here. Okay. This by C3. Obama gave weapons to ISIS who killed Americans. Obama gave billions to mullahs who killed Americans. Obama gave guns to drug cartels who killed Americans. Obama gave millions to Wuhan lab who sent the coronavirus to kill Americans, all while media worshipped him. Enemies, absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. They are enemies of the people. And he was never even qualified to be president in the first place because he wasn't even American. So, interesting. All right, let's look at, I can't remember what this is, but let's take a look at it because it must be good. Oh yes, why the WHO faked a pandemic. The World Health Organization has suddenly gone from crying the sky is falling like a crackling chicken little to squealing like a stuck pig. The reason? Charges that the agency deliberately fomented swine flu hysteria. The world is going through a real pandemic. The description of it as a fake is wrong and irresponsible, the agency claims on its website. A WHO spokesman declined to specify who or what gave this description, but the primary accuser is hard to ignore. The Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, PACE, a human rights watchdog, is publicly investigating the WHO's motives in declaring a pandemic. Indeed, the chairman of its influential health committee, epidemiologist Wolfgang Wodarg, has declared that the false pandemic is one of the greatest medicine scandals of the century. Even within the agency, the director of the WHO Collaborating Center for Epidemiology in Munster, Germany, Dr. Ulrich Kiel, has essentially labeled the pandemic a hoax. We are witnessing a giant misallocation of resources, 18 billion so far in terms of public health. They're right. This wasn't merely overcautiousness or simple misjudgment. The pandemic declaration and all the klaxon ringing since reflect sheer dishonesty motivated not by medical concerns, but political ones. Unquestionably, swine flu has proved to be vastly milder than ordinary seasonal flu. It kills at a third to a tenth the rate, according to U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates. Data from other countries like France and Japan indicate it's far tamer than that. Indeed, judging by what we've seen in New Zealand and Australia, where the epidemics have ended, and by what we're seeing elsewhere in the world, we have considerably fewer flu deaths this season than normal. That's because swine flu, muscles aside, seasonal flu acting as a sort of inoculation against the far deadlier strain. Did the WHO have any indicators of this mildness when it declared the pandemic in June? Absolutely. As I wrote at that time, we were fully 11 weeks into the outbreak and swine flu had only killed 144 people worldwide, the same number who die of seasonal flu worldwide every few hours, an estimated 250,000 to 500,000 per year by the WHO's own numbers. The mildest pandemics of the 20th century killed at least 1 million people. But how could the organization declare a pandemic when its own official definition required simultaneous epidemics worldwide with enormous numbers of death and illness? Severity, that is, the number of deaths, is crucial because every year flu causes a global spread of disease. Easy. In May, and what it admitted was a direct response to the outbreak of swine flu the month before, WHO promulgated a new definition matched to swine flu that simply eliminated severity as a factor. You could now have a pandemic with 0 deaths. Under fire, the organization is boldly lying about the change to which everybody with an internet connection can attest. In a mid-January virtual conference, WHO's swine flu chief, Keiji Fukuda, stated, did WHO change its definition of a pandemic? The answer is no. WHO did not change its definition. 2 weeks later, at a PACE conference, he insisted having severe deaths has never been part of the WHO definition, which is a lie. They did it, but why? In part, it was cover your ass for the WHO. The agency was losing credibility over the refusal of avian flu H5N1 to go pandemic and kill as many as 150 people 150 million people worldwide, as its flu czar had predicted in 2005. Around the world, nations heeded the warning and spent vast sums developing vaccines and making other preparations. So when swine flu conveniently trotted in, the WHO essentially crossed out avian inserted swine, and WHO Director General Margaret Chan arrogantly boasted, the world can now reap the benefits of investments over the last 5 years in pandemic preparedness. But there's more than bureaucratic self-interest at work here. Bizarrely enough, the WHO has also exploited its phony pandemic to push a hard left political agenda. In a September speech, WHO Director General Chan said ministers of health should take advantage of the devastating impact swine flu will have on poorer nations to get out the message that changes in the functioning of the global economy are needed to distribute wealth on the basis of values like community, solidarity, equity, and social justice. She further declared it should be used as a weapon against international policies and systems that govern financial markets, economies, commerce, trade, and foreign affairs. Chan's dream now lies in tatters. All the WHO has done, says Pace's Woodart, is to destroy much of the credibility that they should have, which is invaluable to us if there's a future scare that might turn out to be a killer on a larger scale. When is this from? This is from 2010. Why am I reading this? I don't know, but I do apologize. I thought this was, but it's very interesting because I probably saw the title and assumed that they were talking about our current pandemic. But this is very interesting to know because the WHO obviously has a history of faking things for political reasons. So that's good to know. I mean, it's good to know that there's a history there of that. I didn't know too much about the WHO before this, really. I mean, I knew who they were and what they did, but I didn't really know too much about it. And this has forced it into the forefront, forced me to become familiar. But it's interesting that they have a very speckled history, to say the least. All right, I'm going to get off of that and get onto something more timely. All right. Okay. Says, the effectiveness of an ad can be judged by how loud the opponent yells. Joe Biden, Dems, and media can't handle the truth of Sleepy Joe's record, plus Hunter trading on his dad's name for big cash from the Chinese communists. This ad is fire. Watch the ad. They don't want you to see. All right, let's watch.
Ready to go?
Oops. Hang on.
This is no time. Ready to go?
This is a crisis.
This is no time for Donald Trump's record of hysterical xenophobia.
Biden's son inked $1 billion deal with a subsidiary of the Bank of China.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They're not bad folks.
Since the outbreak, the Communist Party has been mobilizing overseas organizations to buy local supplies and send them to China.
It is in our self-interest that China continue to prosper. What a beautiful history we wrote together. Banning all travel will not stop it.
The president is right. The travel restriction on China, as every public health official we've talked to said, bought the country time.
That was a very smart move right there.
Hysterical xenophobia. Xenophobia. I complimented him on dealing with China. I'm not going nuts.
I love that. I've seen it before, and I love it just as much. So anyway, yeah, I'm sure that Biden and his ilk do not want anybody to see that because it lays it out pretty plainly. And I think they did a great job on that. All right, and let's look at this. Remember that town hall meeting? Well, did Biden fall asleep during it? Because it sure looks like he did. Wow, did Joe Biden fall asleep during the live town hall with Hillary Clinton? Actually, yes, he did. Wow, did Joe Biden fall asleep while Hillary Clinton endorsed him during a live town hall on Tuesday? Hillary Clinton endorsed Joe Biden on Tuesday despite overwhelming. So let's see, because I think somewhere there is the video. And of course, that's what we want to see. Okay, Hillary Clinton endorsed Joe Biden on Tuesday despite overwhelming evidence he sexually assaulted his former staffer, Tara Reade, in 1993. It wouldn't be the first time Hillary Clinton endorsed a pervert and sexual abuser, though. It appears that Joe Biden fell asleep during his town hall with Hillary Clinton. So, is this it? No, that doesn't look like it. Okay, watch. Here we go, right here. Let's watch.
Are women.
And there he is.
Out of 3 jobs held
sleeping
in our country has been classified as essential. So this is an issue that affects all of us, young and old and retired.
And I don't know who this is, but it's not Hillary Clinton because it looks nothing like Hillary Clinton. I mean, it does sort of, but I don't know. It doesn't look like the frumpy Hillary Clinton that we've seen lately. So I don't know. Either she's had some, a little nip and tuck, and I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. He fell asleep. Now, can you imagine? He's running for president, and he falls asleep on camera. Now, maybe they have him sedated. I don't know. Who knows? I feel very sorry for the guy. I really do, in some ways. Now, I know he's guilty and everything, but really, as a human being, I do have compassion because he's being abused by someone. Somebody is holding something over his head because he's not in any shape to run for anything, not even a hall monitor. Really, he's not in any shape. And I think that it's cruel. I really do. And I've lost all respect for his wife because really his wife should put her foot down and say, look, you know what? You're not in any shape to do this. But anyway, more footage of Biden falling asleep as Hillary yammered on. Well, I think anybody could fall asleep when Hillary's talking, but let's look at this too. There he goes again.
He is asleep. He's asleep.
You know what that reminds me of? It's like, the elderly people in church, and they'll just they nod off, and you'll look and they're like, tongues hanging out, drool coming down during the sermon. That's what that reminds me of. He's listening to Hillary yammer on, and that's a good word for it. And he just, falls asleep. And that's who they want to be president. Yeah. Do you imagine him meeting with world leaders and he's like, all right, well, let's go on. Okie dokie. Now, this was from yesterday. Breaking Trump to order meat processing plants to stay open as critical infrastructure. And, it's interesting that all these meat plants are shutting down. Same thing happening in Canada. I just think is very strange. And I do think that this is something that they plotted in order to cause shortages, because you know what? The more problems they cause, the worse it's going to look for Trump getting reelected. And that's the way they're thinking. They don't care about you and your family and whether you have meat to eat or food to eat or are able to pay your rent or your mortgage. They don't care about that. They care about themselves being in power. So I'm not going to go through all of that. I don't think it's necessary. And most of you probably heard it on the news anyway. But I did want to make sure that you realize that. And let's look at this. Again, this is from yesterday. Oprah, George W. Bush among 200 stars to appear in 24-hour global virus relief event. Kind of like the, what was it? United Together at Home or something like that they just had with the stars and whatever, which was ridiculous. Los Angeles, Oprah Winfrey, Julia Roberts, and former President George W. Bush will be among 200 star-studded participants in a 24-hour global live stream event. The Call to Unite event will kick off Friday evening to offer performances and conversations about overcoming the challenges of the CV pandemic. Event organizers hope participants can help inspire people to emerge from this crisis better than when it began. Quincy Jones, Jennifer Garner, Common, Marie Shriver, Questlove, Yo-Yo Ma, Eva Longoria, Naomi Campbell, and Alanis Morissette are expected to participate in the event. Each participant will answer calls in their own way, whether through performing a song, sharing a story, or offering a prayer. The event will be live streamed at unite.us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, and SiriusXM Stars. Yeah, I don't want to miss that. Yes, I do. Yeah, I won't be watching it. I'm just saying. Not even for you guys. And you know I love you guys, but I can't subject myself to that. I just can't. Sorry. Okay, let's go on. We are getting close to the end because it is getting late and I've got a lot here. So there's no way I'm going to be able to get through it all. But let's look at this because this is very interesting. I don't care what anybody says. I think this is interesting. Yeah, look at Bill de Blasio and Shirlane McRae get roasted for park stroll during CV. Yeah, they tell everyone else to stay home, but there they are. Bill de Blasio, Shirlane McRae stroll through Prospect Park amid CV. Mayor Bill de Blasio and wife Shirlane McRae didn't let CV stop them from traveling 11 miles from Manhattan to Brooklyn's Prospect Park for a leisurely stroll, eliciting outrage from New Yorkers' online video shows. Seriously, you guys have a park. You live in the middle of a park. You don't need to non-essentially travel to Brooklyn, Twitter user Darren Goldner says, referencing Carl Schur's park near Gracie Mansion in a clip posted to Twitter Saturday. Hisner responds, "Come on, guys, give it a break," as he and the First Lady continue to walk away. "I'm not going to give it a break. This is selfish behavior," Goldner shouts to the backs of the mayor and McRae. "This is so terribly selfish. You call yourself a progressive, but you chauffeur yourself to Brooklyn. You force people to drive you. It's not the first time de Blasio and McRae have been spotted walking in Prospect Park since the CV pandemic started. Before non-essential businesses like gyms were ordered closed amid the CV crisis, de Blasio regularly made the journey in an SUV motorcade to the nearby Park Slope YMCA from Gracie Mansion." Yeah. I have one word for that. Hypocrite. It's one rule for them and another for everybody else. That's how it works in their world. They're special. Oh, they're special, all right. I just want to check real quick if this is uploaded. Yes, it's finally there. All right. Okay. All right, let's go back now. Okay, let's look at this because I can't remember what this is, and I'm going to do one more thing and then I'm going to call it a night. This is alarming if you ask me. This by Grace. Why is Bill Gates smiling so big when the reporter says the economy is going to take a long time to recover? Let's watch this. This speaks volumes. It really does.
Said elsewhere, the economy is not going to be anything like it was. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this it was. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how fitful this is. You've said elsewhere, the economy is not going to be anything like it was. It's going to take a long time to recover. It's going to be, people are going to be surprised at how slow and how...
That's creepy. It is just darn creepy. He's talking about the economy taking a long time to recover, and he's almost like, he's almost slobbering on himself. He's so happy. Wow. He is an evil, evil man. Very, very evil. Now, let's come back, and I'm going to have to skip some things, but I will pick them up on a later video. But I want to show you this. Hillary Clinton, lies, scandal, cover-up, campaign, money fraud, murder. She was an unethical, dishonest lawyer. She conspired to violate the Constitution, the rules of House, the rules of the committee, and the rules of confidentiality. That statement was made by Jerry Zeifman, Democrat Watergate Committee supervisor over Hillary Clinton, chief counsel to the House Judiciary Committee. Yeah, she was kicked off the Watergate Commission. Anyway, or the Watergate Committee rather, received illegal bribes from China for presidential re-election campaign fund. Benghazi neglected to beef up security in Benghazi or provide for emergency team to intercept terrorists. People died, 45 bodyguards, 14 witnesses, 5 politicians, 2 lawyers, 2 journalists, 7 fundraisers, 1 CIA, 1 Navy admiral. Fired for unethical behavior while on the Watergate Commission, Emailgate, both Clintons covered up and suppressed from Ken Starr and Congress over 1 million potentially incriminating emails, stole furniture from the White House. Remember that? They moved out, they stole the furniture? Unbelievable. Filegate illegally ordered up 900 FBI files, lied about being under sniper fire in Bosnia, instructed Secretary of Commerce Ken Brown to illegally sell seats on Democratic trade missions, fired head of White House travel office to give job to her friends, mastermind of the land fraud scheme, Whitewater. Yeah, her whole career has been full of scandal. Now, let me just see if there's anything else. Oh yes, this by Sun Q2, and he is responding to Charlie Kirk, who states, breaking, Democrats announced that they are launching another investigation into President Trump, this time for defunding who? The Foreign Affairs Committee began their probe yesterday. Why aren't they probing China instead of President Trump? This is an outrage. And Sun Q2 responds and says, hey, America, isn't it obvious by now why the Dems are constantly investigating Donald Trump? Are you awake? Well, of course it's obvious, because the more they investigate him, they know that they're on the hook for their crimes. They know. And they know that it's because of Donald Trump. So they are trying to get him out or do whatever they can to sully his name. They want him out at all costs. And I think that goes without saying. I think we're all more than aware of that. Okay. And the last thing I'm going to hit on tonight is this, because it's very important. And it's beyond me. It's beyond me, really. I can't even conceive of someone this evil who wants to let this man out. Family forced to relive horror as far-left lawyers group wants Green River killer released. Yeah, as far-left governors across the country advocate for the release of prison inmates due to the COVID pandemic, one particular egregious case has gone up before the Washington State Parole Board, the possible release of Gary Ridgway, better known as the Green River Killer, who killed between 48 and 71 women during the 1980s and 90s, and Isaac Zamora, who killed 6 people in a 2008 shooting. Now, please tell me why anyone would ever consider letting Gary Ridgway out of prison, 48 and 71 women, and do you think he's going to stop? What do you think he's going to do the first time he's out of prison? He's probably going to murder that same day or that same week. What the heck is the matter with these people? Really? Honestly. They are so wicked. Wicked. So, I mean, somebody's daughter, somebody's mother, somebody's sister is going to die because they're not doing their job. Let this guy out? Are you kidding me? Let him get COVID. Now, I'm sorry. I know. That's awful of me to say, but did he care about the 48 and 71 women that he murdered? Did he care about them? And yet we want to let him out so he can murder again just so he doesn't get COVID? What? Have we gone absolutely, positively out of our minds? Who would even think of doing that? Governor Jay Inslee initially released about 1,000 inmates earlier this month, but that wasn't enough for the far-left lawyer group Columbia Legal Services, who has sued the state and argued for immediate release of 12,000 prison inmates. 12,000. Somehow this case was fast-tracked to the state Supreme Court while many other people wait years for the court to address their appeals. So, yeah. Justice has heard virtual oral arguments in the case nonprofit law firm Columbia Legal Services filed last month on behalf of 5 inmates at various state prisons. The petition seeks to require Inslee and DOC to release inmates who are especially vulnerable to CV, as well as those nearing release. Aw, poor guys. Poor guy who murdered 71 women. We don't want him to get CV. My gosh, we need to protect him. Let him out. Okay, he might murder a few people, but at least he'll be safe. Chief Justice Deborah Stevens asked Nick Straley, an attorney with Columbia Legal, about the constitutional grounds for when the judiciary gets to interfere with the exercise of discretion by another branch of government, in this case, the executive branch, during an emergency. The duty is to protect our clients from COVID-19, and all of the scientific evidence before the court indicates there have to be releases of inmates to do that. No, there doesn't. Stevens said, what about, come on, you could temporarily house these people somewhere. But anyway, Stevens said that she had concerns about what the High Court would tell Inslee and State Department of Corrections Secretary Stephen Sinclair to do. What is the mandate? We're going to tell them release X number, apparently, but I heard you say earlier that they'd have discretion on who it's safe to release, Stevens said. Staley replied, what is constitutionally compelled is to operate a safe prison system, and in that context, what that means is there are a number of people who can be safely held in the prisons. That is a number that can be determined. Can I tell you today what that number is? No, but neither can the Department of Corrections. The exchange, which mirrored an earlier one with Justice Stephen Gonzalez, highlighted the major issues in the lawsuit. So anyway, I'm not going to get into all this, but Gary Ridgway and Isaac Zamora are 2 of the inmates who meet that criteria. So they are considering releasing him. Now, I would be more worried about Gary Ridgway because he's a serial killer. This guy, he killed 8 people all at once. I mean, not that, wicked is wicked, but, obviously Gary Ridgway, he's going to go out and do it again, right? What's going to stop him? Took a long time to catch him in the first place. Families of these murder victims were forced to write documents for the record opposing his release. This drudged up all sorts of horrible memories for the family members. One such person was Tanya Fenton, whose mother was one of Zamora's victims. Fenton posted this emotional video talking about the horror of recalling the entire experience and tragedy. Now, we're not going to play that because I'm really running out of time here. But, yeah. Oh, okay. Fortunately for society. Woohoo! The Washington Supreme Court denied Straley and his Columbia legal services, and those violent offenders will remain behind bars. That is wonderful. Wonderful. I can't even believe that it was a consideration. I mean, if you're a serial murderer and you're in prison and there's, something going around in prison, well, you wouldn't be there in the first place if you hadn't murdered all those women. So I don't feel bad for him at all. Do you? Anyway. All right. Let's end it there. And I do have people to thank. So here goes. All right. Via coffee, Air Paint Brightly, Leah, and Anon. Now, these two people are the same person because she said something here in a note and then she corrected herself in this one. So I know these two people are the same person. Air Paint Brightly, Leah, Anon. Jamie, aka Emya 098, Space Chick 7, Tiffany, one of my favorite names, Tiffany, and my favorite jewelry store, but can't afford to shop there. Uniquely Written, Destal 3, Wesley Pinnix, Driver, and we're seeing some new names here that I haven't seen before. So thank you so much for your coffee donations. I really appreciate that, and it helps keep the program going. It helps me do what I do. So, and also we picked up a couple new Patreon subscribers, Melissa Tedford and Deborah Wilkin. Well, welcome to Patreon and welcome to the channel, and everyone that's a new listener, welcome to you all. You are more than welcome here, and we are glad to have you. So that is it for tonight. I'm going to stop there, and because I'm getting a little bit, I don't know, like I'll set it up, but then it moves, and I'm not sure. When does it move? It's very odd. How does it move? What am I doing to make it move? I don't know. It's an enigma wrapped in a riddle. Okay. Anyway, that is it for tonight. I will see you in the next video, and I will make some statements about the last video, not the last video I did, but the video from day before yesterday about the Antichrist. I'm going to make some comments about that coming up hopefully tomorrow. And so, yeah, because I think a lot of people misunderstood where I was coming from. I was not necessarily saying that I believe this man is the Antichrist, not at all. But I think that certain people believe that he is, and I don't know. He could be just crazy. He could be, and I'm starting to lean towards that now. But anyway, I'm going to make a few comments about that, and I'm going to get to some other things tomorrow as well. So I will see you in the next video. I hope that you guys stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and come back and see me because I miss you guys when you don't. Really, I do. Okay. Good night, guys.